Right, so welcome back to another episode. It has taken us some time to record this one, but I'm really happy to have Priya today, who is the founder of Edify Learning Space, a tutor match platform focused on neurodivergent learner through neuroaffirmative approach. So I'm going to let Priya introduce Edify and herself more properly because I think I won't be able to do it justice here. So Priya.
Thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, it sounds like a mouthful, neurodiversion, but most people, one in five people, have their own way of learning. And it's our goal at Edify Learning Spaces to match them up to the right tutor and to the right educator who knows how to work with kids who learn in their own way, but also have strengths that are not always seen in a traditional brick and mortar school system. So it's pretty simple when you think we get them the best tutor for them. And that has been pretty much all of our success, all the way from Salt Spring Island in BC to Singapore. And we have helped so many families sleep again and have hope again and have kids who really love learning. And I think, you know, now with AI, a lot of people know more about how they learn. So this will be something that continues to grow and is going to be part of our future.
Priya, how did you come up with this idea? What was the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, so I was part of an after school care program that I was launching in 2020, and COVID happened. And then I took a step back and said, okay, I'm not going to do an after school program. Let's see what happens with COVID. And I saw my own two kids learn in their own way, do very well. And I was like, oh, maybe everybody is doing really well right now with education. And they weren't. So I took a minute and I was really intentional to think, what are the things that are showing up for me? What works well? Just because it works well for my kids, does that mean it would work well for others? And I started to think about it. And that's basically how it started. It started in August 2020, and we've been helping families ever since. It's really important to say that the reason why it works is because the families know that their kids need more help. And we have the tutors on the other side who know that these kids can produce more if we focus on their strengths. So it seems magical, but the balance is there where both sides are part of this success.
Your story inspires me a lot because, growing up, this is what I realized it now after talking to you, and we had several conversations in past as well. As a kid, whenever we were not doing good in classroom, right, and we would say like, I'm not able to do this, and I used to say that a lot actually, like I can't understand this. I'm not sure. I don't know how to do this. Teacher used to say to me that I still remember it from my fifth grades and all that. That they would say to me that everybody has the same brain. Why can't you do it if they can? And I was like, everybody has the same brain and they can do it. So why can't I? And that would internally then in my mind was like, oh, maybe that means I'm stupid. That's why I can't do it and they can. Maybe that's why, because like if we have same brain, then what's going on? So, but after years of learning, this is what I realized, that that's everybody has their own way of learning and understanding things. And if we are not able to accommodate that, then it's not going to benefit anybody. And in your business, in your company, you are trying to build something a lot more meaningful here because you are trying to help families get not just educational support for their kid, but also create an emotional support there. So I wanted to ask you, what does it mean for you to build a meaningful business here?
Thank you. Tutors have been around for thousands of years. And our educational system, the way that we know it, is not very old, right? If you compare it, it's, a couple hundred years old. Our typical models taken post-industrial complex. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to keep working on it. And thank you for sharing what you went through. I think all that shows me is that the teacher is overwhelmed. that they don't have time and they have too many students, right? So once we start looking for meaning and saying, this is what works and this is what works for every child, then we're moving towards a better place, right? And so to find something meaningful, it's really important to think about every child, right? I think it's challenging to think about the future of learning when we don't know the future of our jobs, right? So, but in a way, it's freeing. So, really, what's going to be meaningful is having kids who believe in themselves, who know their strengths, and ones who are curious. And knowing that in an uncertain future is giving them a better opportunity in life. And maybe they'll ping pong around it and find something, but I know that this is a way to support them and scaffold their learning. So I think the meaning comes from looking at what's already been done and seeing the gap and looking for opportunity.
This is, so, you just mentioned a very interesting point for me because kids, and we were kids too, so we hopped around on different profession that we wanted to pursue. Engineering. At first, I was like, oh, I want to be a pilot. Then I was like, engineer, doctor, all of those things. We went through that, and it was never about basically teaching kids how to become engineer or a doctor. It was always in the schooling system. It should have been at least to teach kids how to actually pursue those things and better learn. So if you're able to teach kids how to know themselves and what works for them and how they can learn better, then no matter what education or what direction they choose for career, they're able to pursue that. Because career might change, the ideology and dreams might change, but if they know exactly how to be able to achieve that, that's going to help them immensely. But growing up, we were just basically told very specific things, as in that you need to learn this, this, and that. If you can't do this and this and that, then you can't go into this. That's it. Like I was literally told that I was not great at maths, and I accept that. I remember still that I was told exactly by the principal that if you can't get this much grade in maths, you can't get into this line of field at all. So you should forget about this and pursue this one because this one has less math in it. And I was literally told that. Then I met actually a teacher who made math seem so much fun for me that
Yeah.
I remember exactly, like I was below 50%. I was getting less than 50% in maths, but she made me compete and have fun in math so much that I was like, one time I remember exactly, I got my test paper returned to me, and I had one question wrong on it, right? And I literally took the paper, and she was teaching another class in another classroom. I left my class, stood up, just left, didn't even tell the teacher, went to that and be like, I wrote it exactly right. I did the working and the answer is correct. And then
Wow.
on the black, she was like, prove it, her answer is correct. She was teaching the class. Literally, kids were sitting there. I was starting to prove on the blackboard that the answer is correct. And then she was like,
Wow.
okay, yeah, I see now that you made a correct choices and it was right answer. Then she gave me full marks. At that point, I realized that I'm not bad at maths. I was just bad at learning maths.
With that system, right? So,
Yeah.
but that teacher, made that effort and took the time out and believed in you, right?
Yeah,
It's
it was all about learning the mindset that what works for me, why am, because I believed it that I'm not good at maths, and she never really believed that I'm not good at maths. She always thought like, oh, you are able to this and that, then why aren't you able to solve this? It's basically the same thing. And she was able to make me see that math is not difficult, it's just difficulty in understanding it. When you get through that mindset, you are able to solve it. And that's what I realized, that it only happened because classrooms started to become smaller for us when we started to go into different grades, and teachers there, okay, not all teachers were great, but some teachers were actually putting effort into learning about kids, not just, okay, I need to go put things on the blackboard and then leave. They were like trying to learn more about whom they are teaching.
Yeah. And I think it's so important that parents also know. And sometimes they might not think, oh, this child is laughing and playing with the tutor and they're talking about other things. But that's all part of building their confidence. And anytime you play with a kid, they learn the concept 8 times faster.
Amazing.
8. So if you think, oh, okay, well, they're not really learning anything, but actually they're learning a lot faster. I think parents also, their whole job is not to know about education stats. Right? They have so many other things they're working on, but that connection. So we always say connection before correction. So that connection has to be very strong. And the majority of our tutors with Edify, we work on that connection first. And, those types of things, I think in modern times, people know it, but they don't always practice it. So that's something that is very important for our tutors and our kids. I
It
mean,
brings me to the
there's a lot that we work on with our tutors, and they also come with a lot of experience, a lot of training and understanding and personal experiences. So we always have to find that right fit, even before they meet the family. They have to have the capacity to have that understanding, curiosity, ability to play, or else they won't be part of our chosen group. So we're pretty
I
strict
see.
about who enters our match process.
So you're basically doing a two-way approach where you are making sure the families get on, you're actually able to help them, and then you're also making sure the tutors that are coming onto your platform, they're able to teach and support those families, right?
Yeah, I mean, I work with families one on one as needed, and some of them need more support. So, I'm able to offer them that support, and they're very happy with it. And sometimes parents teach me too because they know something very different, right? So it's not one way, and I do have that support available. I have written a book. I've authored a book called Radically Reframe: Three Guiding Principles for a Happier Neurodivergent Family. But it is mostly about parenting and how to see strengths with children. And I used to work at a childcare facility, and we made it an inclusive childcare facility. That means we had early intervention program to find out if children learned in their own way and help support families with specialists. So occupational therapists, speech language pathologists, and everybody on the team, they knew how to work with these kids. And that's very different from a typical childcare model, and everything I learned, I put it in the book. So that is very supportive for parents because I saw parents, going from crying out of frustration to crying with happiness. And these are parents that were new to Canada. And so they didn't know about our system and what we were doing. And they're Canadian parents as well. So everybody has the capability to learn more. As their child is learning, they are also learning about parenting and their child. So they need support whenever they can get it.
That's like a lot of hard work goes into making sure that the kids are getting best support they can and family getting best support they can. I can't imagine like going through all the process just to make sure that they are getting the best education. You know, not a parent. I'll just be out and say I'm not a parent, and I just can't imagine parents going through that much of work. I really appreciate you sharing that. That's amazing. It brings me to my next question, actually. So now you are scaling up your business. How will you be making sure that your meaningful business stays meaningful throughout the journey? Because as you scale up, sometime even small to big corporation, you can see things falls through.
Yeah, great question. So we have automated processes, but no AI for the automated process. So that means the child's information is never shared with AI, and that we do the matching process up to a point, and then it's human eyes only. So we can get it to 80%. So that is one way we can ensure quality over time. And also, we can use AI. We do have AI training tools for teaching resources, right? But no personal information goes in there. And that is a tool that saves teachers time. So The way that we're scaling is to keep it human with information and to keep resources available through a vetted AI system. And, I think as we keep growing, there will be opportunities to partner up with, app providers who work with kids who are more visual or have individual learning styles. So there are, times where we will be able to partner up. Depending on the family and how the child learns. So, right now, how we are ensuring safe scaling, I would say, is to build, we're just building partnerships with service providers who are registered service providers with each province. So they are registered occupational therapists, registered speech language pathologists, registered behavior analysts, and registered psychologists, registered all of the registry, the trusted, they have outside body, and we want to make sure that we are aligned with best practices, even though tutoring is not something that is managed by any governing body, right? We still want to take the best of what's out there to be neuroaffirmative. And what that means is we accept the children as they are and work with what they have in the best way. To not look down on them and to empower them and to support them, right? So that neuroaffirmative lens helps us scale. Yeah, I mean, I've been told, why don't you use AI as the tutor? And I'll bring you back to what I said earlier. It's about the connection before correction. It's a lot easier to turn off the app. It's a lot easier to close the laptop. It's a lot easier to do that when it's not a real person on the other side of the screen. And if it can work from, Burnaby to Scarborough, and it can help kids all across the country because there's a real person there, a real person. So we haven't gotten to that point where, there's a lot of AI tools, there's a lot of videos. Khan Academy is really fantastic, being able to offer all of these, learning modules, but a lot of kids aren't able to stick with it. So that people first part is part of our scaling, and that's something that we are doing. And another part of this is, what have I done to ensure that this scaling stays positive, right? I have turned down an investment opportunity because I wanted to make sure that it's people first. And so that was an interesting lens, and it also helped me strengthen what I'm doing and automate the process where it doesn't involve humans to make things faster. So, saying no, I think, is a great way to scale.
Yeah, I think sometime you're correct. Saying no is the best way to scale the business from the business needs point of view. And I totally agree with building connection, because connection is not just about getting to know each other. It's about getting comfortable with your one another. And when you are trusting someone and comfortable with them, your mind is not having fight or flight issues anymore. You are not trying to fight internally anymore. So you're able to actually focus and learn. And when you're not comfortable with a teacher, or you don't like them, or you don't like how they're teaching you, your mind is always going to be like wandering off and trying to get out of that situation. Then you are not learning, you're fighting it within.
Exactly. And there's so many modules that we go through. When I was working at the licensed childcare facility, you can't teach when the child is not comfortable in their own body, right? And a lot of people who are neurodivergent, their body is in a heightened sensory state. So they might be, expecting fear. And a lot of them have, a sensitivity to rejection. So even though the tutor or the teacher might not have said anything, it might have even been a look. That look of disapproval might have caused this physical sensory, it might have felt like a slap to the child, right? So it's really important that, the comments that we make, the positivity that we build is something that helps the child feel safe in their own skin. And really can't teach if they're not feeling safe.
Yeah, because kids are not able to name things, or be able to describe what they are feeling properly, but in their natural instinct they are able to internalize it, they're able to detect it, but they just can't name it or explain it. That gets, and even when that happened, people dismiss their, why can't you tell me, because they don't know. That's why they are not able to tell you, but there's something is going on underneath. They have, as you said, a look maybe which made them feel dismissive or disregarded. Even that got internalized with them, but they don't know that what to call that. So they are not able to tell you like what exactly happened. They are not able to tell you like, oh, because you looked at me like that, or because they don't know them. Goes lot of things goes in. Now I'm realizing like so many things goes in just by having conversation with you, that have teaching kids and taking care of kids and helping them grow is a lot of work that you actually have to be mindful about.
Yeah, but we're all human, right? We're all human. But I love learning about the way that they learn about things. Even with my own children, it's very much what you're saying. Like it's difficult for them to say it, right? We know some statistics that kids who are neurodivergent, when they are in the learning stage, in the young stage of their life, they have already heard 10,000 negative comments, whereas a neurotypical child will hear 2,000. So this messaging over and over and over can really, hamper their spirit at the very least. Not to mention learning where the lights might bother them, the sound might bother them, their friends laughing. Maybe they think they're laughing at them. Like there's so many noises. They might be cold. Like all of these things, they're feeling in a very heightened way, and then many of them, especially if they're autistic, have a hard time saying it out loud, right? And that's where, if you have a calm connection that's one on one, that really sees the person for who they are, you can see them soar to heights, and it is, in one way, I think it is work for people who don't usually think like that. A lot of the tutors that we work with, they are curious, like how can I get in there? How can I, convince them that they are so smart? And what do I have to do? And, you know, maybe, and I know there's a tutor right now, she'll message me and say, well, it went well because I lost at chess. And I said, well, did you really lose at chess? And she said, yes, I tried really hard and I couldn't beat them. So, imagine like you're playing with a teacher and you beat them. Like, can you imagine what that does for your confidence? And she explained that the chess that this student was playing was, they made their own rules for the horses, right? For the knights. So she allowed this child to create a new move, right? So she couldn't win, but she also gave him the leeway, to create their own move and their own like strategy,
Yeah,
right?
you ignited a sense of creativity and, as you said, strategy. So that's like making them think outside of the box. Now they're not defined by the rule itself, they can create their own rules. Learning that early on, that things in life are not defined by rules imposed by outside world. If you are able to think outside of it and create your own rule, you will find your own success. That's like a very great lesson you can learn early on.
Yeah, and it's the tutor's relationship with that specific child, right? Right? And so of having fun and learning and building confidence, and then maybe learning a little bit more, and then maybe reading while playing chess. So it's not as simple as a regular worksheet. Here, take the worksheet, write this down, fill this out, copy it. It's very different. And that's why we, have the success that we have with families. They don't want to let this connection go. Even if the tutor is very busy and has, change of schedule, the parents do not want to let this go. And there are so many people that will benefit from a tutor match. And I can't tell you how many times that positivity has kept me going. I hear so many good stories. Every time we talk, there'll be a different story of positivity. It's insane. Like there's so there's there's so much goodness in this world, and we don't always see it. I mean, I do. So I know it seems a little unbelievable, and I think families when they first meet me, they think I'm so positive, but it's not. Like, I'm just like them. I don't believe everything. And I think people are not telling the truth when I first meet them. But once they experience it, they completely understand. And I think I undersell it, actually. So I like to delight people and get them to decide for themselves, like, is this good for my child? And they see it. And that's the best gift I could get. Yeah, and I just want to keep growing and growing so that more people can feel this level of joy. And, there was a family who said, they haven't been able to sleep in 6 years. They were worried, so worried about their child. A lot of kids like this, they end up in more trouble at school. Sometimes the police are called on them. Like, it's completely, it completely changes their mindset, right? To learning, and they
Police gets
never want
called
to
on
do that
kids
again. Yeah, yeah, because
in a school.
yeah, there's newspaper stories about that. I mean, yeah, this is the population that gets ignored. This is the population where more adverse effects happen, and it's hard to go from that reality, right, to the reality that I'm showing families. It's hard to go
Yeah,
from that to that, but that's what happens. That's why I'm sounds like I'm delusional maybe to some parents. I don't know if I would have believed it. But it is possible, and it is possible for your child to feel confident about learning, even if they've gone through some incidents like the ones I've mentioned.
yeah. In an overwhelmed education system, it's easy to just dismiss a kid by labeling them as difficult.
Yeah.
That just gets other people through, right? It's just this kid is being difficult. It's not the education's fault or how the system is working. It's the kid's fault. It's easy to do that because it's the path of less resistance. Easier to do. You don't have to fix what the actual problem is, and you can move on by telling parents that it's your kid's problem and they should be working on it with your kid. Yeah, I think we just need to focus on the compounding effect of this journey. And as you said, it takes time. And as you keep on making progress, that gets compounded. When you were growing up, you didn't see that much of the work being done in this field, but now you see a lot of work done. You are one of the people who are actually making sure that work is getting done and progressing forward. So we will see in next, hopefully, God willing, that in next 5 to 10 years, even more support and better understanding of how to build learning environment that is more supportive and actually ignite the passion for learning in kids rather than making them feel dismissed or disregarded or igniting any kind of negative emotion. I even wonder that the 8 hours of being in school is beneficial than having 1 hour of actually meaningful learning with an instructor that is giving them the focus and support they need. Because 8 hours of if I'm sitting 8 hours and out of that 8 hours, 7 hours, I'm hearing that I can't do this, and then 1 hour is like with a teacher who's telling me I can. That 7 hours is still gonna win. I'm just learning from you. By just hearing you, I'm like, okay, one on one, 1 hour, it's much better than sitting in a school for 8 hours. I never liked it. Yeah, we are in very exciting times. You're seeing a lot of things change and drastically. Like the rate of adopting new technology has increased several folds, and what we are seeing now maybe the tipping point for our life as well. In our own life, we have seen going from those Nokia small screen handheld to full touch screen phone that can literally do more computing than supercomputer of the 1990s. Yeah. So, Priya, before we run out of time, I do wanted to ask you. I think I've met so many startups, but you are one of the startup that I think is doing a very meaningful work in a very needed field. And I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to people who wants to build meaning in their own business or build a separately meaningful business? What should they be looking for? How should they be going about creating impact and retention in their business, and what kind of change they should be aspiring for? And that's a really great advice. Just focusing on the people you're trying to help rather than getting stuck in your mindset that this is what should have helped them or this is what is the right thing to do. There is no right thing to do if it's not helping the people you are trying to do it for. Yeah, that is very true. That we are living in an environment now that is the whole global structure is getting torn down and rebuilt as we speak, and it's a great time to realize what we need as an MVP rather than all the bells and whistles. Everything needs to start from the MVP. It needs to solve one particular problem. If it can solve that, later maybe you can start adding new things as you go by doing feedback and analysis of your target groups. But solve one problem, make life better, and create impact in that. A learning from you, most definitely. That's nothing less than a blessing. You have people support you. Yeah, people are out there. It is. I think, Priya, you are like that experiment where that gorilla experiment where people were passing basketball and then the gorilla passes by a man dressed in gorilla and no one noticed it, and then they were told like, oh, there was a thing, and they went back and they watched it and they saw the gorilla pass by in that video. I'm doing a bad job describing the experiment, but hopefully you get the idea. Just like in that one is our mind detects what it's looking for. So if you are looking for the color red, you will see the color red everywhere. If you're looking for a gorilla, you will see the gorilla in that video. But if you're not looking for it, you won't see it. And I think it's very important to choose at least to look for positive in the world before you become pessimistic. The brain has trained itself. Yeah, you are inspiring a lot of people here. At least me for sure. I have learned so much from you. Well, thank you so much, Priya, for letting me interview you for this episode. And it has been an amazing experience for me. And hopefully, it would be amazing experience for people who listen to it. And thank you again for coming on the show.